Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. As you know, coming to you raw and uncut. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. So what's up, my heels and faces? Let's talk about this Monday Night Raw. Wasn't bad. As you know, I'm coming to you, as far as with my own opinion and stuff. So this is coming from me, and we're just gonna go like this. Okay, Raw tonight. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. I'm gonna give it out of a 10. I'll probably give it a 5 and stuff because there were some things that was pretty good. Some things that kind of little makes you want to have some questions too. So we're gonna start this promo segment match, and we're going to try to get this down and try to get it correct. Okay, we start off. Well, anyway, let me start with this. As you know, Javon Evans, got hurt during the match with him and Grande Americano. Not sure how severe the injury is, but it doesn't look great. I mean, what are they going to do? What's WWE going to do now? They had big things I know for him. Depending on the shoulder injury, could be out for 6 months to a year. Stuff we never seen how he got injured. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see what WWE says, see what the medical people say about him. But it is going to be bad, because I think they invested a lot in him, especially sending him over to the overseas tours and stuff. I mean, he did the full tour in Germany. Now he's in Ireland and stuff. I mean, he's done the full overseas tour and stuff, and now he's down to an injury, and he just signed, on the Raw program and stuff. So now we just got to wait and see um, where that goes. Hopefully, it's nothing really bad that it could take, maybe a couple of weeks and he'll be back. Because I know they had big plans for him at the Royal Rumble, or I think, no, it was for the Saturday night um, main event, moving on to, WrestleMania and stuff, as far as the Royal Rumble coming up and everything. So, man, I just hate it for him and stuff. So hopefully it's not anything serious. Okay, now we're going to get to Raw and Gunther coming to the ring with his promo and everything, and the crowd chant, and then him telling the crowd, to calm down, and everything. And then he's, saying that AJ Styles made a mistake, last week because, he overlooked the match. He was too focused and everything on trying to make Gunther tap out, which caused him, his demise. And then he reminds everybody that, um, AJ Styles was in there, with the greatest wrestler, in the company, as Gunther calls himself, and then he's the longest reigning, IC champion, two-time world champion and everything, So I guess he's most or less saying that AJ Styles bit more often he could chew, going saying that Gunther saying that he beat Goldberg and put him to sleep, and then he made John Cena tap out, and then he's saying that, his future looks bright, Gunther talking about his future, and his future looks like that's the path that he's going to take to get back to the the World Heavyweight Championship. That's why he's announcing his bid at the Royal Rumble and stuff. So, and then as he's talking and everything, then out comes AJ Styles, and AJ Styles, says that look, that he knows that Gunther feels like he's through, but then AJ says that he's not. That he himself is not finished with the situation between him and Gunther and stuff. So basically, he issues Gunther for a rematch. He wants a rematch with Gunther. And then Gunther basically says, no. And then AJ Styles, says that he must be scared, and that when he had him in the calf lock, he should have took his leg and pulled it off and beat him with the bloody stub and everything. And then he tells Gunther, like, he's like John Cena, like how he says to John Cena that he like tapped out like a little bee and everything, But Gunther's basically saying that he was smarter than AJ Styles because he got the ref to not see the tap, basically. And, the ref wasn't paying attention, got the low blow on AJ, and that's how he won that match and stuff. But then Gunther continues to say, no, there's no rematch, there's no incentive, for him, wrestling him again. And then Gunther stops again, and then he said, hey, there might be an incentive. So he tells AJ Styles that, look, if he wants to match, then he has to put his career on the line. And then he tells AJ Styles, if he's not scared, and we know AJ Styles, he's not afraid of anything, and as you can see throughout the show, it's a lot with AJ Styles and Adam Pearce and stuff talking. So like the match was set, for them to wrestle at the Royal Rumble, because basically Gunther said in the beginning of his promo at to AJ Styles that he doesn't like doing double duty. So I guess he's going to end up doing double duty because the fact is, if he's in the Royal Rumble and then the match between him and AJ Styles in the Royal Rumble for AJ's career, then it's going to happen. But we all know that it's not going to happen. AJ is not going to lose at the Royal Rumble. It's not, we all know that he's talking about retiring and stuff like that, but I don't think it's going to be at the Royal Rumble and everything, especially not towards WrestleMania coming. Now I can see, if he wanted to do it, after WrestleMania and stuff, or at least get there, build it up to that point to WrestleMania and stuff. And then if AJ loses to Gunther again, then it was at WrestleMania, one of the biggest stages of WWE and stuff. So if you agree, please don't forget to like, subscribe, you know, and leave me a comment. Let me how you feel. Tell me how I'm doing and stuff like that. So after that little segment is over, then we go get backstage and you got Maxxine Dupree, back there, and then all of a sudden Natalya shows up. And Natalya tells her that hey, she's there, for support to help out with Natalya just in case something goes wrong with between her and Becky Lynch and stuff. So now we have the match with Becky Lynch and Maxxine Dupree. The match is a good match and everything, I would have to say, because Maxxine Dupree has actually, she picked up some skills. She's actually looking a whole lot better in the ring than she has been in the past few weeks that we've seen with her and Becky Lynch, going at it and stuff. It was very sloppy, but this match is way much better than that match, that they had last and stuff. So I guess Maxine Dupree has picked up, and we all know that Natalie is the reason why, Maxine Dupree is, at the level where she is right now and stuff. But I thought when, I saw that backstage thing, I said, Natalia's up to something that's no good. It was so predictable and stuff. And I knew something was going to happen, whether or not if Maxine Dupree was able to, get the belt back from Becky Lynch and then Natalie, challenges Maxine for that belt. But that's not how it happened. Becky Lynch, wins the match. Well, actually, Maxine actually almost had Becky Lynch, you know, um, and then Natalie pulls Becky Lynch onto the ropes and stuff. So, Maxine is looking at Natalie saying, why, and stuff. And then, how they focus her attention the wrong way. And then Becky Lynch, drops her and wins and retains the match. I mean, retains the belt and stuff like that. And it's over. So Maxine, she loses and stuff like that. And then while that's happening, you would think, Natalie would do something. But Natalie got in the ring and she destroyed Maxine Dupree. I mean, she destroyed her, beat her down and stuff. And I mean, it was a ruthless beating. I think she beat her down for at least good 2 or 3 minutes and stuff. And then finally a referee got into the ring, and kind of broke it up, but she destroyed Maxine Dupree. So we'll see what happens down there. Kind of figure out they're going to take this, you know, they're going to take this a while. Hopefully, maybe at the Royal Rumble, maybe beyond the Royal Rumble. I don't know. Hopefully, I don't. Hopefully, they don't take this match to WrestleMania because it won't be that kind of match. It would be just a waste of time. So hopefully this is not a match building up to WrestleMania. And then we got Adam Pearce backstage, with AJ Styles. Like I said, AJ Styles is saying that, wanting Gunther and stuff like that. So that's when the match got addressed. So it will be AJ Styles and Gunther, at the Royal Rumble and stuff. Um, and then Paul Heyman, coming out asking Adam Pearce if he was okay, and then Adam Pearce telling Paul Heyman that he needed to make sure that the division during the day will be on their best behavior, and so they walk out. And then you got the little backstage segment with Raquel um, saying when Stephanie comes back from her injury and everything that she's gonna beat her, and then basically everybody's mostly saying they're going to be in the Royal Rumble, because Jey Uso, he comes out, and says that, he's going to announce to be in the Royal Rumble and stuff like that. So basically, that's what everybody's coming out, you know, um, saying. Then the New Day, they come out and they're wondering why they're not, going for a tag team title. And Adam Pearce basically tells them that they're in the four-way fatal tag match, coming up, and I think that would be either Friday or next Monday and stuff. But they're going to be in the fatal four-way tag team championship for number one. I mean, for number one to fight for the tag team championship. And then we get the match with the Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Braun Breaker versus Penta, Dragon Lee, and Rey Mysterio. This match was, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't as brutal as I thought it was going to be and stuff. I mean, I, I'm not sure. And then all of a sudden you get Paul Heyman and Adam Pearce, they're arguing at ringside and everything. I mean, they got very involved in the match, and they weren't even in the ring and stuff. It took a lot away from, what was going on in the ring, and them two outside arguing and everything and stuff like that. I thought for a minute that they was gonna have um, Braun Breaker come out and spear somebody, but that didn't happen. Logan Paul got some brass knuckles and everything. The referee saw him with the brass knuckles. Got the brass knuckles. Somehow, I guess they dropped onto the ring apron and everything. And then Rey Mysterio picked up the brass knuckles. He nails Logan Paul, and he gets Penta driven and everything. I mean, it's like, and then Penta, Dragon Lee, and Rey Mysterio, they win that match, which is crazy because you would have thought that the Vision would win that, since they're trying to make them the big bullies of there in Raw and stuff, and they're supposed to be the elite group and stuff, but they took that L. So we'll see what happens after that, because it doesn't make any sense. And I told you there's some weird things that happen here um, on Raw tonight. And there was a lot of segments with Paul Heyman and Adam Pearce, as far as the vision and what they're gonna do, and then Paul's still reminding Adam Pearce about putting his hands on people and stuff like that. So we get that, and then we get the EO Sky and Rhea Ripley coming out and everything, and basically they're both saying that they're gonna be in the Royal Rumble and stuff, and then Roxanne, Liv Morgan, and Roxanne Perez, they come out, and they're issuing, I mean, they all want to issue a challenge for the, tag team championships, but basically, they're saying that they're going to be in the Royal Rumble too, also, and everything. And all of a sudden, Raquel Rodriguez comes out and she blasts Rhea Ripley and stuff, and then they jump on, Rhea and Io Sky, and take them out and beat them up and stuff like that. So, they brawl and brawl and brawl. It seems like that's what happens all the time. It's just this big old brawl. But basically, they announced that they're all going to be at the Royal Rumble and stuff, which is crazy. And then, same thing backstage with Bailey and Lyra Valkyria. They're saying the same thing about being in the Royal Rumble. Bailey's going to enter the Royal Rumble. Lara Vaquera didn't officially say that she was going to be in there, but she did say that she was going to be backing up Bailey no matter what to make sure that she wins the Royal Rumble. So that could be a problem and stuff. I don't really see that, happen. I think that's where they're gonna get, their split and stuff. But if it happens, it happens. But I don't think it's gonna happen that way. I think something's gonna happen where Lyra actually causes Bailey to be put out of the ring and not advance any further in that portion of the Royal Rumble as far as the women are concerned. And then we get the match with Javon Evans and El Grande Americano. The match is okay. I mean, Javon Evans, he's a high flyer. They got him as a future and stuff of the industry. He just signed his contract last week. A couple of weeks ago to be on Raw and stuff like that. And then during the commercial break, Javon Evans got hurt somehow. And it was had to do something with his shoulder and stuff. So don't know what the injury is, how bad the injury is, but El Grande Americano wins that match due to injury to Javon Evans and stuff. And so, like I said, basically, there's a lot of backstage stuff with um, Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman with the Vision and stuff like that. And then Paul Heyman is saying, you know, um, a lot of crazy stuff about Adam Pearce and putting his hands on the wrestlers and stuff like that. It was just some stupid, dumb, crazy, goofy stuff. And then we got the Kabuki Warriors. Oscar's blaming Kairi Sane for the loss. Blaming her for losing the titles and stuff like that. And basically again, Oscar's announcing her entrance into the women's Royal portion of the Royal Rumble and stuff. And then Kairi Sane is basically saying what Lara Valkyria said to Bailey about making sure she's going to do something to make sure that Oscar wins and stuff like that. And then Oscar tells Kyrie, please don't make her yell at her again. And then they walk off. And then we get the main event, which is CM Punk and Finn Balor. And it was pretty cool because, when Finn Balor came out, he came out in his old music and everything. And I see there's going to be something going on with Finn Balor. I don't think he's going to be with the Judgment Day, um, soon. I think there's going to be that breakup because in this match, it was a great match. They put together a real good match and stuff. Kind of knew they would, you know. And then CM Punk showed me something too because they went hard and, and there wasn't too many, rest periods that they had and stuff. So this match was a great match. Um, Loving seeing what happened, at the end of the match. Finn Balor gave CM Punk the coup de grace twice, you know, and CM Punk kicked out of it. Also, too, during the match, CM Punk gave the GTS to Finn Balor, and Finn Balor, kicked out of that. But at the end of the match was pretty good because Finn Balor kicks CM Punk into the corner, not once but twice, then hits him with the coup de grace. CM Punk kicks out. They battle a little bit more. CM Punk gets him up into position for the GTS, and then hits CM Punk with the hits Finn Balor with the GTS, and takes the win and stuff. But the match was good. And then at the end of the match, the sportsmanship, CM Punk went to Finn Balor and everything, and picked him up. They shook hands. They embraced and everything. And then Finn Balor, he leaves the ring. He keeps looking back at the ring towards CM Punk. I thought for a minute he'd probably run in there and, do something crazy, but he didn't. He just, stood there, walked away, looked back and everything. So I think Finn Balor is probably going to become babyface. So we'll see and stuff. But like I said, Raw wasn't too bad. It wasn't that great. I give it, out of a 10, I'm going to give it a 5 and stuff because it was mediocre and stuff. But, and then with AJ Styles, we all know that he says he's going to retire, but I think there's going to be some stuff where he ends up going back to TNA. He was a great star back at TNA. So I think, if he does lose this match to Gunther at the Rumble, then AJ Styles will be going to TNA. He won't be leaving wrestling, but he'll just be leaving the WWE to TNA and stuff. But again, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, leave a comment, let me know how you're feeling and stuff. And if I can get a prediction video out on the Royal Rumble, I'll put one out. But anyway, thank you for watching. God bless, deuces, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.